Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, of course, I want to say call Yahweh, by Shema Mashiach Yahushua. It's all praise to the Most High in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world enemy calls Jesus Christ. All right. As you see by the title, Ezekiel 4 breakdown. All right. The 430 years prophecy. Shalom, Diala. Shalom, Yavanya. What's the word? What's the word? All right. A lot of people say that this prophecy is speaking about Egypt. Some people, I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you. But I do want to let y'all in on the secret though. And this is the secret. All right. Let me just one second. I have something, Lord willing, that'll begin to be a playlist. And it's these. All right, the tribe of Naphtali. Asher's not finished. The tribe of Reuben. More slides will be added. This is just dealing with the scriptures concerning them. So Lord willing, those come into the YouTube videos, you know what I'm saying? And we have a 12 tribes chart breakdown, presentation style. Because I know some people like that more than other forms. Right. So Ezekiel 4, we're gonna read it in its totality, and then we will go back and break it down. All right. So Ezekiel 4. We gotta know how to break the Bible down. Okay. Ezekiel 4:1. Right, and it reads, thou also, son of man, take thee a tile and lay it before thee and portray upon it the city, even Jerusalem. And lay siege against it and build a fort against it and cast a mount against it. Set the camp also against it and set battering rams against it round about. Moreover, take thou unto thee an iron pan and set it for a wall of iron between you and the city. And set thy face against it, and it shall be besieged. And thou shalt lay siege against it. This shall be a sign to the house of Israel. Lie thou also upon thy left side, and lay the iniquity of the house of Israel upon it, according to the number of the days that thou shalt lie upon it. Thou shalt bear their iniquity. Right now, some people say that this is a fulfillment of Isaiah 53. No. Verse 5. For I have laid upon thee the years of their iniquity, according to the number of the days, 390 days. So shalt thou bear the iniquity of the house of Israel. And when thou hast accomplished them, lie again on thy right side, and thou shalt bear the iniquity of the house of Judah 40 days. I have appointed thee each day for a year. Therefore thou shalt set thy face toward the siege of Jerusalem, and thine arms shall be uncovered, and thou shalt prophesy against it. And behold, I will lay bands upon thee, and thou shalt not turn thee from one side to another till thou hast ended the days of thy siege. Right, then it begins to speak about bread defiled, right, which we're going to get into as well. But the point is it's 430 years, right? Shalom, everyone. Let's just see. So it says that. Let me go ahead. It says, "Thou also, son of man, take thee a tile, and lay it before thee, and portray upon it the city, even Jerusalem." Right. So you have Ezekiel. His job is to basically build a fort, right? Like a little WWE ring. I used to have one of those as a kid. I hold you. I used to be playing with that WWE ring and the toys all day, right? But you see that he has to basically build Jerusalem, right? Like a toy Jerusalem. One second. And it says, "And lay siege against it, and build a fort against it, and cast a mound against it, set the camp also against it, and set battering rams against it." All right, let me change the background. That's better. So, Ezekiel is supposed to build the city of Jerusalem, and then after he builds the city of Jerusalem, he's setting a siege against it. Right? Off rip, it can't be talking about Egypt, because some people say that this happens in the time of Egypt. It can't be talking about Egypt because it's saying to build the city of Jerusalem. In Egypt, we didn't establish Jerusalem. All right? So let's dissect this really quick. All right, so verse 1 is pretty simple. Right? He builds this little city. Verse 2, it says, "Lay siege against it, and build a fort against it, and cast a mound against it, set the camp also against it, and set battering rams against it round about." Who knows what this is speaking about? Who in the chat can tell me what it's talking about when it says set battering rams against it and set a camp against it? Who is this that's coming against Israel, or Jerusalem, I should say? What is this resembling? I need to get a new chair. This thing is too noisy. Who knows what this is talking about? Right? Set battering rams against it, set a siege against it, right? Who is this speaking about? Yes, a siege, of course. Who is doing or going against Jerusalem? Siege of Babylon? Not necessarily. We must stay focused. The Romans. The Romans. Right? So watch this. Let's go here. I got all these. I don't need this no more. Let's pull this up. Did the Romans use battering rams against Jerusalem? Battering rams made little progress, but the fighting itself eventually set the walls on fire. A Roman soldier threw a burning stick over the one of the temple walls. Right? Under cover of the artillery fire, Roman soldiers could start to bash the northern wall with their battering rams. So historically, we know that they used battering rams, right, against the walls of Jerusalem. Right now it says, cast a mount against it. Let's go into these words, right? Build a fort against it. What is this fort? Dayak, right? Talking about a siege wall, side wall, right? Battering tower. All right, let's look at one of these things. I can't do my quick search because I won't be able to see it, but I can do it this way. All right, boom. One of these things, right? So this is what's going up against Jerusalem. Let's go back to the Hebrew words. And cast a mount against it. What is a mount? A mound, right? Rampart of besiegers, right? Military round, right? Like a catapult type structure, right? Siege is definitely the key word, right? Shalom, not Gog, right? This is way before our time. So let's go back. And then it says, set the camp also against it, right? And it says encampment, camp, a place of encampment, a camp of armed hosts, army camp, right? A body of people. So now you have the army, you have the siege towers, right? The battering towers, right? What they use to go push up against the walls when they're trying to break or overthrow a wall. You have the battering rams that break down the walls. Then you have the mounds, which are the military rounds, the catapults, so on and so forth. Then you got the camp, which is the people, right? Battering rams, so on and so forth. So we see that this is a war going against Jerusalem, right? How do we know that this is the Roman war? Verse 3. Moreover, take thou unto thee a iron pan and set it for a wall of iron between you and the city, right? So this is speaking about the city, not the whole country, but rather just the city, not these areas. um, so how do we know that this is talking about Rome? Right? Well, in Daniel 2, we see this vision or the interpretation of the vision, right? The king's dream. We see the first interpretation, the Medo-Persian and the Greece, but then it speaks of Rome, right? And what does it say? And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron. For as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. So the iron pan that is going up against this wall is the Roman army, right? The verse above it speaks about all the utilization, the tools, the functions, the forms of weaponry that was using against the walls of Jerusalem, right? Hope everybody's following along so far. So it says, set thy face against it, and it shall be besieged, and thou shalt lay siege against it, and it shall be a sign for the house of Israel. So why is Ezekiel playing this part in what is his part? Why is the Most High making him do this? Is because he's kind of in the position of the Most High, right? Not saying that he is the Most High, not saying he has the authority of the Most High, but he is the one that's doing this. It is the Most High, the one that is doing these actions or allowing these things to occur. But he's also showing Ezekiel what he's about to do, right? Now watch this. Let's go to Ezekiel 5. Let's read verse 1. And thou, son of man, take thee a sharp knife, take thee a barber's razor, and cause it to pass upon thine head and upon thy beard. Then take thee balances to weigh, and divide the hair. Thou shalt burn with fire a third part in the midst of the city, when the days of the siege are fulfilled. Thou shalt take a third part and smite it about with a knife. And a third part thou shalt scatter in the wind, and I will draw out a sword after them. Right? The persecution, right? The exiling of our people, and then the persecution that followed us, right? If you go to the Revelation 12 breakdown I did on Sakari Phoenix, you'll see this water that came after the woman, right? It is an army that fled after us, right? So Ezekiel 4 and 4. So far, is it making sense so far? Do I need to repeat anything so far? Everybody's following along? Don't be scared to tell me to repeat something. That's what we out here for. We're out here to teach. So far, it is speaking of 70 AD, yes. So far, it is speaking of 70 AD. All praise. So, go back to Ezekiel. Now it says, verse 4, lie thou also upon your left side, and lay the iniquity of the house of Israel upon it. According to the number of the days thou shalt lie upon it, thou shalt bear their iniquity. It says, for I have laid upon you the years of their iniquity, according to the number of the days, 390 days, thou shalt bear the iniquity of the house of Israel. Who knows what this is talking about? This is important, right? We going into prophecies on Sundays, right? I don't know what I'm doing. Right. I think this picture looks dope. I ain't gonna hold you. Right. Let me show y'all. It's called the Prophet's Gate, right? um, just because when we go into prophecies, we are now entering into the spiritual land of the prophets, right? So when you go to these classes, you're at the Prophet's Gate because you're learning the prophecies of the prophets, right? So that's why I named it this, right? I'm gonna show y'all really quick. See, the Prophet's Gate, right? I ain't gonna hold you. I might turn that into a shirt because I like that. I ain't gonna hold you. It look dope. But don't be asking me for some shirts. I ain't gonna hold you. Captivity Mystery Babylon. Um, depends. Very much so depends. Right? Uh, if you can expound. So let's go back. You're right. I'm playing. You're right. Boom. The captivity of Mystery Babylon. Right? So let's read it again. It says, lie thou also upon thy left side, and lay the iniquity of the house of Israel upon it. According to the number of the days that thou shalt lie upon it, thou shalt bear their iniquity. For I have laid upon you the years of their iniquity. According to the number of the days, 390 days, thou shalt bear the iniquity of the house of Israel. Hold on. It just said, for I had laid upon you the years of their iniquity. But then it tells him to lay upon his side 390 days. What is it showing you? That these days are a representation of years, right? You can read the next verse, verse 6, and it says in the highlighted portion in the latter end of the verse, I have appointed thee each day for a year. So each day that Ezekiel is laying on his side, it is a representation of a year, right? Now, this is talking about the northern kingdom. Okay. Verse 6 says, and when thou hast accomplished them, lie again on thy right side, and thou shalt bear the iniquity of the house of Judah 40 days. I have appointed thee each year or each day for a year. So would this mean that the 390 years are a northern kingdom captivity, and the 40 years is the 40 days is a 40-year captivity for the southern kingdom? Is that what this is talking about? Who knows? Who knows? Oh, by the way, Shabbat Shalom to y'all. I hope y'all Shabbat going smooth. Oh, maybe I should keep that up. That's better for life. Hope y'all Sabbaths are going smooth. Oh, that's why. Let me know. Are these separate years or are these years supposed to be together? It's all good in the neighborhood. Man, my bad, y'all wasn't properly set up. These are both at the same time, right? It's consecutive, right? It's not something that is separate. These are both exactly at the same time, right? Meaning it's 430 years, hence the title, 430-year prophecy, right? These things happen consecutively, right? They're not separate, right? Because he laid on one side, boom, and then he turned and laid on the other side. Now, if somebody wants to play the game and they want to say, well, that means that the Northern Kingdom was in slavery for 390 years and the Southern Kingdom was in slavery for 40 years. One, they would have to show where the Northern Kingdom was in slavery for 390 years. That's number one. By themselves, by the way. Two, they would have to prove that Judah was only in slavery for 40 years. Right? Which they cannot do. Letting you know that these things happen at the same time. So, what time does it start and who does it start under? Oh, Christ, who knows the time where this starts? And who started this? Who started this, I should say. Let me bring up Buddy. And Henry the Fifth. Let me pull up the comments really quick. All right, watch this, y'all. So, let's pull up Buddy. So, look at this man here. Let's see. Let's figure out. Let's do this. Boom. Right. So, in 1441, two Portuguese explorers, Nino Tristão and Antonio Gonçalves, sailed to what is today Mauritania, or I'm butchering it, in West Africa, kidnapped 12 natives and returned home to present them as gifts to Prince Henry the Navigator. He's important. I might do a presentation on him as well. I got a code presentation on Pope Nicholas V, which I think it's only good that maybe I do a presentation on Henry the Navigator and Pope Nicholas V, because both of them played a major part in the beginning of the slave trade. It says by 1460, 700 to 800 African slaves were being taken annually into Portugal. right? We're going to keep reading this a little bit more. See where we go. Okay, boom. Into Portugal for use. Let me zoom in for y'all. For use mainly as domestic servants between 1460 and 1500. The removal of Africans increased as the Portuguese and Spanish established forts and trading stations along the West African coastline. By 1500, about 50,000 slaves had been taken out of Africa, most brought into Europe, where they were used mainly as domestic servants and artisans, and in farming. The remainder were used in the that's about it. Right, so we see the slave trade beginning around 1441. Right, this is when these two people get to popping. Right, now what does this have to do with our prophecy? Well, because we see that Ezekiel lays on his side for 390 days. And then we see him lay on his side for 40 days. Let's do some math. Right, I'm gonna do it on my phone. Y'all could do it on your phone to fact check me. 390 plus 40 is what we see as 430, right? So 390 plus, right? So 390, boom, plus 40, boom. So y'all can fact check me. Get your 400, get your 430, right? So why is that important? Well, because the time would start around 1441. So let's take this back down. Let's do some more math, right? Hooray for math. 1441. Oh, my bad. I'm supposed to be showing you. 1441, which is when we just got those slave trades starting to happen with them 12 slaves, plus, boom, 430. Now, I know it's backwards, but yeah, y'all get to this. Plus 430 is 1871. Why is that important? Because from 1441, around 1441, to around 1871 is when we was in hardcore bondage. That's when the slave trade started, and this is when the chains begin to be loosened off of our necks. Right, so watch this. Let's go here. Boom. Emancipation Proclamation was when? Around 1863, so they say, right? But that doesn't mean that we were technically free, right? Because if you are familiar with history, which I think one of the brothers out here is going to do a series on this, right? So I got to get in touch with him, see if he's going to do that. But the slaves weren't technically free when the Emancipation Proclamation happened, right? You still had a lot of slaves in Texas that were slaves, and it was illegal for the colonizers to have them as slaves, but they didn't follow, right? So we weren't technically free right at 1863 or 1865, right? A couple years later, that's when we began to really become free, right? When the rebellion really gets to kicking off concerning us being free, right? But here's why that's important, right? This is Judah. Judah. Oh, Slaki, y'all, I'm not sharing my screen. My bad. So there's the screen being shown. You see 1863, right? Emancipation Proclamation. Judah is the head of the Southern Kingdom, right? Who is the head of the Northern Kingdom? Remember, we did the math. 480, not my bad, 430 years, right? 430 years is how long Ezekiel was laying on both of his sides, right? Ephraim is the head of the northern kingdom, right? That's important. So the southern kingdom, the head of the southern kingdom was freed around 1871, right? Again, historically, just because the bill was passed, it doesn't mean that we were all free, right? It's not like today's time where it just popped up on the TV, right? News got out a little differently and a little slower, right? If somebody famous dies tonight, it's going to be, everybody's going to know about it in the morning. That's not how the news traveled back then, right? So it took time. So the head of the southern kingdom was freed around 1871. Let's see when the northern kingdom was freed. When did Puerto Ricans get freed? Okay, maybe I should spell it differently. Nope. Ooh. You see how that works? Let me pull this back up. Right. So the head of the southern kingdom was freed around 1871. And the head of the northern kingdom was freed around 1871. Right. So listen, just so y'all can fact check me. Just so y'all can fact check me. Right. 1441 is when we got with Henry V, right? Or Henry the Navigator. Right. You plus 400 and 430. Boom. What you get? 1871. Right? When was the Southern Kingdom, the majority of us freed? Around 1871. When was the Northern Kingdom head tribe freed? 1873, which is 2 years after 1871, right? Showing you that we were both freed from the hard bondage around the same time, right? So this 430-year prophecy is speaking about us being bound in chains. Let's prove it. Let's keep reading Ezekiel. Ezekiel 4:7, it says, therefore thou shalt set thy face toward the siege of Jerusalem, and thine arm shall be uncovered, and thou shalt prophesy against it. And behold, I will lay bands upon you, and thou shalt not turn, thee from one side to another, till thou hast ended the days of thy siege. Meaning, Jerusalem will be trodden down in bands for 430 years. If it don't make sense to where this timeline started with us being in slavery, being shipped around, when will it make sense? Can't make sense in Egypt because we wasn't slaves for 430 years in Egypt, right? We read in the 400-year prophecy concerning Genesis 15, we read the generations, right? Moses didn't live to 200 years, right? So we have a more understanding of Ezekiel 4, just a little bit more. There's more though, right? So defiled bread, right? Speaking about the same 430 years. It says, take you also unto thee wheat and barley and beans and lentils and millet and fitches, and put them in one vessel, and make thee bread thereof, according to the number of the days that thou shalt lie upon thy side. 390 days thou shalt eat thereof. Right? So he's getting these measurements of food as he's laying on his side. And thy meat which thou shalt eat shall be by weight, 20 shekels a day. From time to time shalt thou eat it. Who knows what this is talking about? Who knows why Ezekiel has to go through this? Who knows why the Heavenly Father is telling Ezekiel, from time to time, you're going to eat this, and you're going to eat it by weight, right? Who knows? Rationing. Of course. What the hell? You're right. I ain't gonna hold you. You're right. Rationing, right? What? But expound on this, everyone. You on point. But what you mean by that? One nigga Drewski say, what do you mean by that? Because during slavery, for boom, right? Okay, who that brother coming in? Okay, brother, know the breakdown. Both of y'all is on point, right? Because during slavery, food was given in shortage to the slaves. That's why he had to eat it by measure and from time to time, right? Let's see if another translation helps. Not really. Really don't help. But from time to time is speaking about oh, that's why. My bad. I was in the wrong verse. I was wondering why I didn't say that. Um, okay, yeah, that helps. That helps. The AMP says the food you eat each day shall be measured by weight, 20 shekels, to be eaten daily at a set time. Meaning, if you were not in the set time, you was not supposed to be eating, right? These are the rations in which we were receiving. Now, the measures of food is spoken about elsewhere, right? What the? Who knows where else the measures of food was spoken about? Not enough to go around. That's true, right? Yes, they were given master scraps, right? That's what we were given, right? Because we are our fathers, right? Who knows where else it speaks about rationing, right? Measurements by food, right? Who knows? Revelation 6. That's where it speaks about it. Now watch this, right? These are the spirits that hop on the so-called Edomites today, but the evil rulers of the world. Right now, watch this. Revelation 6 and 2. And I saw and behold a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and the crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Because before you can rule over a land, you must conquer over it. Right? It says, and I saw and behold a white horse. Oh, I just read that. And verse 3. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat upon him to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. Meaning, after he gets this spirit of conquering, the brainstorming of conquering, the building up to go out and conquer. Now he's going to go kill, right? With the sword, right? With death. Verse 5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard this third beast say, come and see, and beheld, and lo, a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. Who knows what these balances are? Who knows? Who knows what the balances are in Revelation 6 and 5? Revelation 6 and 5. So first, he gets the spirit of conquering. Then he gets the sword. Then he gives out the chains. The chains. So when you go into this word for balances or pair balances, it says a yoke that is put on the draw of cattle, used of any burden or bondage as that of slavery. Now, Tazara, why are we going here? Right? What's the purpose of going here? Well, I'll show you. In Ezekiel, I used the wrong tab. I should have used this tab. Ezekiel 4. What do we see? We see the siege of Jerusalem, right? That's the destruction. We're now pushed to West Africa, right? Then the time starts of him laying on each side, right? Which is the affliction, right? The beginning of the bondage, right? And so, Slovakia. What was I talking about? Then we see him with what? Where is it at? I will lay bands upon thee, right? So as he's laying down, he now has these bands. When you go into that word bands, it says what? A rope, cord, chain, right? Band, thick bow, reeling, right? Entwined. You go to the root, and it speaks of just the thick rope, right? Which would go cohesive with the chains that come after the death, right? And so the next beast, right? In verse 7, it says, and when he had opened the fourth beast, I heard him say, oh, my bad, I'm not finished. The third beast, after he gives us the pair of balances, it says, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. What is that talking about? It's speaking about after we're in chains, after we're in subjugation, we now receive what? The rations, right? The portions of our meals, going cohesively with what? Ezekiel 4, right? These 430 years is when we was in hardcore bondage and slavery, right? Let's keep reading. Right, so we read this, right? Thou shalt drink also water by measure, the 6th part of a hin, from time to time thou shalt drink. And thou shalt eat it as barley cakes, as thou shalt bake it, and thou shalt bake it with the dung, or with dung that cometh out of man in their sight. And the Lord said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I drive them. Meaning, we would be forced. What's the word, player? You trying to go? I'll give you a link if you trying to come up here. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to end it. I didn't know Knock was going live. It's my time slot, so I'm finna end it as soon as I'm done with this. But if you want the link, you can come up here. But we see that we're gonna eat our bread defiled amongst the Gentiles, right? I mean, we're gonna try as much as we can, but they are the border of wickedness, right? Moving forward. It says, then said I, this is Ezekiel talking, Lord Yahweh, behold, my soul had not been polluted from my youth up. Even till now have I not eaten of that which died of itself, or is torn in pieces, neither came there abominable flesh into my mouth. Then he said unto me, lo, I have given thee cow's dung for man's dung, and thou shalt prepare thy bread therewith. Right? So yeah, man, he sure is, player. He sure is. It's all good. He's doing his thing. But once we're done with this prophecy, I'm going to tell everybody to go over to his channel so we can go watch his debate. So we're gonna finish this prophecy real smooth. Right. So verse 16. Here's where it gets important as well. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight and with care, and they shall drink water by measure and with astonishment. Now, if we read it quickly, we kind of skip over certain things. It says that we're going to eat bread with care. Why would it say that we're going to eat bread with care? Does that mean we're going to be careful when we eat? No. When you go into this word care, it speaks about anxiety, anxious care, right? With fear, with heaviness, with sorrow. This is a time of fear. This is a time of sorrow. This is a time of us being afraid, right? Like a house butler, if he steals some cornbread, it's fearful time, right? To sneak food, right? We had things where we would take chickens and we would cook the chickens. Imagine being caught cooking a chicken when you're not supposed to. What's gonna happen? You gonna get punished, right? Then it says astonishment. You shall drink water by measure with astonishment. What does that mean? Horror, dismay, appallment, right? Meaning we're scared in this time, right? This is a time of fear that the Caucasians was putting on us, right? So when it's talking about you're going to eat your bread with care, and so like y'all just kicked myself out. I just kicked myself out. Let me pull the screen back up. My bad, y'all. Meant to hit on this one. So boom. Let's see if another translation helps us. Okay. Let's read it in the AMP. It says, moreover, he said to me, Son of man, behold, listen carefully. I am going to break the staff of bread that supports life in Jerusalem. And they shall eat bread rationed by weight and eat it with anxiety and fear, and drink water by measurement and drink it in horror of the impending starvation. That's what it means when it talks about eating it by care or eating it with care and with astonishment, right? I'm fired up right now. I'm awake, right? So let's read the last verse. That they may want bread and water and be astonished one with another and consume away for their iniquity. Meaning the children of Israel are suffering for what we're doing, right? It says, because bread and water will be scarce, and they will look at one another in dismay and waste away in punishment for their wickedness. That is the 430-year prophecy, right? Any questions? You need me to go over anything? You need me to slow down, maybe reread something, or just tell me to go over the whole thing all over again? But as we see, again, some OT onlys will say that Isaiah 53 was fulfilled through Ezekiel, right? Because he laid on the side and he bore the iniquity, right? Isaiah 53 is talking about the suffering servant, right? Christ dying on that cross. But we see in the last verse of the chapter that the children of Israel are bearing that iniquity, not Ezekiel, right? But also Ezekiel bore that iniquity as well, right? Meaning that his was just a foreshadowing of what was to come, right? But Israel suffered through that in the time of hardcore bondage and slavery, right? Any questions? It was kind of famine in the land, right? Not the prophecy that you're thinking of, though. But it was a famine to us, right? So that last verse is speaking about we didn't have enough food, right? The white man had enough food, right? Esau had enough food, but we didn't, right? That's what that's speaking about, right? When it's talking about the food being scarce and the water being scarce, it's talking about that they have enough, but we don't as a people. right? Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. Because mind you, this 430 years is dealing with us in them bondage, in them chains, right? It's not dealing with no other time. All praises, all praises. Right now, again, I do want y'all to be keeping an eye open because of course, we're still going to have more prophecies coming. But I am working on presentations on all the tribes, right? All the tribes, and then it's going to segue into where would all of Israel be, right? Both northern and southern kingdom when the time of Christ's return. That will be a presentation. The warriors of each tribe, that'll be another presentation. The history of each tribe, Lord willing. We always got to add the Lord willing on that. Isaiah, you still on here? If you is, my grandpa from Bama, and I did some research. There's a lot of Reubenites in Bama. You know what I'm saying, hey, player, never know. We never know. I just want to see if Isaiah's still on here. Nigga might be a Reubenite. I'm gonna fast and pray on it. We gonna find out. I ain't never felt like I was a Judah. I ain't gonna hold you. So, all praises. You know what I'm saying? Of course, Zebulon. Of course, I'm waiting for it too, man. I'm teaching the soldiers. We're going over that, but it's gonna be released to the public when it's all finished. Right, that way it can be one video, or multiple videos. It doesn't matter. But I do want to say Shabbat Shalom to y'all who are celebrating the lunar Sabbath. And with that, I want to say, whoa, wait, hold on, my bad. Hold on, don't you go nowhere. I'm gonna stay right there. Y'all need to go to this destination, right? And put up. Y'all need to go here, right? This is where y'all need to go, right? Straight way here, right? To the understanding the Bible for beginning for understanding the Bible for beginners. Christian versus Hebrew Israelite live discussion, right? Make sure y'all go over here. Just segue straight into here, right? Oh, this is my other account. Make sure y'all go watch Nakamaya. Go ahead and debate this brother. That's where I'm finna go. So you finna see me in that chat. Oh, my bad. There, it's on the screen now, right? So make sure that y'all go straight over there, right? So that way y'all can watch that beautiful debate, right? So with that, I want to say, call out Yahweh Shema Mashiach Yahushua. That's all praise to the Most High in the name of His only begotten Son, Ahab Yashar Allah. And y'all stay safe and Shabbat Shalom again, right? Y'all stay safe.